Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christy Wake from the Center for Faculty Excellence. Welcome to the Art and Science of Teaching Adults webinar. Our presenters today are Judith Blakely and Lucy Sennett. Before we go ahead and get started and I hand things off to them, I do want to go through just some housekeeping items as far as the GoToMeeting control panel is concerned. So let's go ahead and go to that next slide. All right, so you should see a control panel on the right side of your screen that looks just like the one shown on the left side of the slide here. And some of you may be familiar with these functions already, but if you do need to collapse that control panel, sometimes it gets in the way of the PowerPoint slides, just click the red arrow and that will expand or collapse it depending on what you have it as. And we've got that red arrow highlighted. Second bullet point down, adjust audio setup as needed. So you'll notice that you came in on mute. Everyone comes in by default on mute. You can use your telephone or your mic and speakers to connect to the audio today. As far as participating throughout the webinar, you can type in the question box, and that's something that I'll be monitoring for our presenters today. Any questions or comments, you can put those there. Or you can raise your hand. That's another option you can do, which is just highlighted on the screen there. If you click that button, a little hand icon will go up. I will see that, and I'll be able to manually unmute you. So keep that in mind. I do want to push out a link to everyone in the chat box. Let me grab it here in just a second. That's going to be a closed captioning link, and it's a live feed. So if you need to use that for whatever reason during the session today, you'll be able to do that. And again, I'll be sending that out in the chat box in just a minute. But for now, I'll go ahead and hand things over to our presenters, Judy and Lucy.
Hi, I'm Judith, and we'll start with introductions. I've worked with adult students for over 2 decades. I focused on teaching the non-traditional student at both the college level and also the K through 12 level. I have worked with a very diversified group of students, and my goal has really always been to, help that student learn, come up with the best education possible for that particular student. I also believe that if the student does not learn the way we teach, then we need to begin to teach the way that student learns. Now I'd like to introduce and welcome you with Lucy.
Hello, I'm Lucy Sennett, and I started with Walden back in 2004 as a contributing faculty member. And like Judy, I have been involved with working with adult learners even before that time of starting with Walden. It is a wonderful experience. It's not like working with young people, but this is a fantastic way to broaden what we do, and it just makes a tremendous difference, and it brings so much satisfaction to our lives to know that we're making a difference for these people.
And we're both very happy to be here with all of you. And we look forward to sharing a very productive meeting. We'll go over teaching tips and share best practices. So welcome, everybody.
Okay, what we're going to do is we want you to look at this statement. What words do you use to describe the adult learners at Walden University, those that you teach? Now, when we were in the session at the National Faculty Meeting, the breakout session. We did this with post-it notes and things of that nature. So to make it work here, we wanted to use Google Doc. And on that, you're going to list your 3 words that describe your adult students. Now, I don't know if you've worked with the Google Docs. We're going to give you a link in just a second to bring it up. But you could be typing at the same time someone else is typing, and that's not going to matter. And if there's any problems, then Christy, you're going to help solve them, okay? We appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
if you will go to that now, give them that link.
Yep, so in the chat box, I'm sending out a link to Google Drive. All you need to do is click on that link, and it'll take you to the document. And just as Lucy said, you guys can all type at the same time. It doesn't matter. And you're just going to want to enter what words you use to describe the adult learner. And Lucy, if you'll click on that link as well, it'll display on the screen for us.
Okay, and guys, I want to make sure that you know, don't try to type on what I'm about to bring up on the screen. You type on the one that you have when you click on it.
Exactly, and there's already some people typing. Good.
Oh, I'm so impressed.
Wow, that's really great. Yep.
Looky here.
And you can change the color of yours if you want to make yours stand out. Right now that default is that red color, so everyone's going to come in that way. We just take a few moments and type in, a word or two that would describe the adult learner, or a phrase. That's okay too.
Sam, are you typing? I hope so. I see you and Miss Karen and Judy Orth. What is going on here? I don't see your name popping up on the screen. Maybe
Uh-oh.
Yes, Lucy, we are typing. Oh, excuse me. One of the things you don't do with adults or children is to call them out in public. I'm just sorry about that.
So if you do want to say who is typing, you certainly don't have to. You can keep it anonymous, but you can put your name in
Wow, Deborah is
Oh, somebody's.
That's nice.
Well, I don't understand that, but, I will accept it.
They're on the same login.
Oh. Well, I won't even ask how that works. Okay, at times can be stubborn. I'm telling you the truth. Now, no truer words can ever be said, because the older you get, and I just filed for Social Security, so you know what that says about me. But as you get older, you do seem to be more set in your ways and more, and you don't have to be my age to do that. Determined, overwhelmed. And this overwhelmed is what we see so often with those that are in the very first course that they take in the master's program. I know I've taught that for a good while, and some of the rest of you have.
Right.
They're just overwhelmed with it, yes.
Mm-hmm. I like that, eager to get it done, too. It's like, let me get this degree so I can get on with my life. I need that job promotion. This is what I have to do, so I'm just going to do it.
Right.
Defensive, reluctant, motivated, yes.
And busy. We need to remember that they are busy with everything that's going on in their lives, their home and their school, and or wherever they work, plus what we're asking of them.
Right, the family. And then a lot of times from the age population that we have, they have parents that they don't live with that they visit and keep up with and take care of, and then they have their own immediate family with children. So that takes them in double directions, and then the work and full-time working and the assignments and take-home work that a job often brings. So yeah, they're busy, and having kids going to the baseball games, taking them to music lessons, their doctor appointments. It can get kind of overwhelming, and it can get to be very busy.
Right, and I like this well, I have trouble saying that, but the reality,
yeah.
Yes, thank you. The reality is they come to us pretty much with a purpose. When I was teaching high school, a lot of the seniors would be leaving saying they were going to college, and you say, well, why are you going? What are you going to major in? They didn't know. They were going because that's what they were supposed to do at that particular point in their life. So they really had no true purpose for going. But on our end of it, it certainly is that they have a reason, and we're going to get into some of those too. Okay, this is great. And if you've never used Google Doc, I hope that this will give you an opportunity to do it. It's wonderful for forms that you send out, and everyone can type in whenever they want to into their set of questions. So it's great. Now,
yeah, I like it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that participation.
All right, and then when we look at who our adult learners are, and we look at the statistics of it, you know, we'll see that 80% of our students work full or part-time jobs, and mostly full-time jobs. Our population is predominantly female. If you look at that, we have 77% female population. We're culturally diverse. We're pretty even if you look there, you know. So we come from everywhere, and we actually come from all over the world. So we have, again, we're totally culturally diverse. And we also have a wide age range, and our age starts at approximately 30. And that makes our students what we call non-traditional students. A traditional student is, I would say, the kid, but I guess 18 there, an adult, who they come out of high school and they go to college. They usually go away to college. That's your traditional student. Our students are, again, with families, busy lives, and, again, look at their age. All right.
Now, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to all of you. Some of us cannot see this as well as we might want to, so this is my aspect of it. You can see the huge portion of us are females that attend, and you see this little chart, and over here gives the age, and this makes it a very, to me, I can understand this a lot better. But
me too.
If you went to a brick and mortar university, this section right here would probably be much larger. But since we're not, we're finding it more in this range. Okay, and we're going to stop right now and do a poll. So, Christy?
All right, so the poll is displayed on your screen. Just take a few moments here to vote. It's somewhat of a Likert scale here. The adult learner enters into an educational activity with high-quality experiences that are a resource for learning. Do you strongly agree, somewhat agree, slightly disagree, or strongly disagree with this statement? We've got about 75% of our attendees that have voted, so I'll give it about 5 more seconds. If you haven't voted already, go ahead and cast your vote before I close out the poll. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the results with everyone now. So it looks like we had 46% of our attendees strongly agree with that statement. 38% somewhat agree, and only 8% said slightly disagree, and then 8% said strongly disagree.
Judy, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I was going to say I'd like us to raise hands and discuss this a little. You know, just basically, you know, share with us why you picked, like if you picked strongly agreed or slightly disagreed or somewhat agreed or strongly disagreed, just to kind of hear your viewpoints a little bit.
Okay. So if you'd like to share with us, please do raise your hand. That button is located just a couple buttons below the red arrow, and I can unmute you. Don't be shy.
Right.
All right, here's a hand that went up. So it's Karen Wiggins, but I'm not sure if it's actually Karen Wiggins. I saw on the Google Drive there was a comment. So we'll unmute it and see who's there.
No, this is the real Karen Wiggins.
Okay.
I had picked strongly agree, but when I was clicking on it, I thought, you know, they all have the experiences, but I think the problem, so many of them come in thinking they don't have anything to offer. I know I'd see this a lot when I was teaching MSED courses. I think especially with the older student, they feel like they're so behind, but they don't realize what they can really bring into it, into their learning.
That's an excellent point.
Right, that is true, so true. Anybody
Thanks,
else?
Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
All right. When we work with adults, and this is one of the differences between, you know, teaching an adult and teaching a child. And a lot of people will say, well, it's the same. You know, you're sharing this education. But our adults, they really do need to know why they're learning something. You know, it's like when we teach adults, we must explain the purpose of whatever it is we're covering in the material. That's important to them. We must share what the purpose is, and, you know, we have to tell them why we're covering it. That's when they're able to get in and grasp it a little better, because then they have the purpose, or what we might call the foundation. We share the information, and the adult learner makes the decision to learn. That means we might say in a lesson, we're learning APA format, and we're learning this because this is the way your papers have to be submitted. Now they have a reason or rationale why they have to learn it, and then they're willing to go forth. And we have to be careful not to do like a lot of busy work or a lot of work that does not have purpose. So when you teach adults, you really have to bring I call it a good game forward, and you have to be verbal and communicate, you know, why you're learning, and help them through it. Because
there's another thing. Go ahead, Judy.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's another thing that research has shown us about adult learners that we certainly need to be aware of, is that they come to us, they decide to return to school because of some major event in their life that has brought them to the decision that a change needs to take place. It can be a divorce. It can be the loss of a job, or a job that they just got. It can be moving to another location. It could be a number of things, but they all represent a major change in their life where they feel like that they're still missing something to get to be what they should be and meet their full potential. So they turn to education for that. So there's almost a sense of urgency involved with them starting. And this has a lot to do, I think, with them feeling those feelings of being overwhelmed. You can easily get overwhelmed when you feel like that there's also other pressures involved with it, because you created that in your mind, and that's the direction you go. And so we need to be aware that everyone sitting in our class is there because of some sort of change that's taken place. And they're feeling this additional pressure that is not necessarily true of someone 18 or 19 that's starting college. We have another poll we need you to take. So, Christy?
Yep, let me go ahead and get that launched for you. You should see it on your screen here. Another Likert type answer. So Walden students want to learn in order to better perform a task, solve a problem, or live in a more satisfying life. Strongly agree, somewhat agree, slightly disagree, strongly disagree. All right, lots of voters this time. Already 76% have voted. Give you guys just a few more seconds before I close the poll. All right, I'm closing the poll and share the results with you. So no one voted for slightly disagree or strongly disagree. We had 71% that voted for strongly agree, and we had 29% that voted for somewhat agree.
Okay, those are good reasons, and that's what it is. Walden students do want to learn to live a better life.
Does anyone want to comment on that from the participants?
Sam Lyman, his hand is up, so I'm going to unmute him. Sam, I know your hand's been up for about a minute or two, but I'll go ahead and unmute you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. And I wanted to build upon what Lucy said just a moment ago. I think that because so many of our students are here at Walden as a result of some major life change, often a traumatic life change, I think that for me at least, that means two implications. One, that I need to be really, really clear about my expectations for student success. And number two, I need to be really flexible as I can be with my students that are going through these crises. You know, my goal is for students to learn, of course, learning objectives. And so as a part of that, I need to try to be as flexible as possible to help them through all these bumps in the road that they experience. So that was my comment.
Right, and we all know that we have policies and all that we have to follow, but at the same time, there has to be the human aspect of what we're making decisions. Someone sent me something just a few minutes before this started about someone going on a trip and being a little late by assignment. You know, and my feeling was, hey, I wish I was going with them. You know, let's all go. But at the same time, we have to follow the rules, but at the same time, we've got to make sure that our hearts are attuned to the needs of these students, because the last thing we want to do is to put some type of obstacle in front of them where they would drop out, or they would go to somewhere else, or whatever. We have to keep them. I think that the university as a whole sees dwindling in numbers for various reasons, the majority of which are totally out of our control. And because of that, we have to do our part to be flexible. And Sam, I'm totally in agreement with you. Okay.
I agree. Yes. All right, when we look at how adults learn, I'll give you a minute just to read through this. But adults, basically, they come back to school, as we've been discussing, to learn new skills for career changes and job promotions, and they've made that decision to return to school. An adult many times thinks, well, if I get that additional degree, I'll make more money, or I can get that job promotion. So adult learning is geared at resolving problems or challenges that they face within their life. And adults come to school for the reason that they've selected. It's an internal reason, and that's their motivation, be it that new job, be it a career change. It could even be, this is something I've always wanted to do, and now I have the opportunity. So when we work with adults, we have to always consider their feelings, their viewpoints, because that is what's driving them. Are there any comments or anything on how we teach adults? And we'll go through how. Okay, so how do we apply, you know, what we know? We really, when we work with adults, as much as we think that teaching is just teaching, whether you're teaching an adult or you're teaching a child, you have to look at individualized differences, and you have to look at what, not only what you teach, I guess I should say, but who you teach. When you're teaching adults, you do have to treat them like the adults they are. You can't just, I call it, make up all of this stuff and say, do it because I said so. They have to have a reason. They have to understand why. And you should know why you're teaching it to them as well. It shouldn't be busy work. And we have to understand that when our adults come back to school, sometimes their classroom skills may be rusty. When we looked at the brainstorming session of the words that describe the adults, you know, we saw where some of them might feel a little hesitant because they feel they don't know. So when you're aware that their skills may be rusty, we don't really want to front them off. We want to teach them, help them, and provide them with resources to get through that. We want to encourage. You know, it's the half-full concept. The glass is half full over half empty. So, you know, we're not going to be judgmental. And we have to also consider in the knowledge the technology gap. One generation, the traditional students, they're called the technology natives. They were born into the technology. Our population really wasn't. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to learn and share technology information and how to do it. We have to be efficient.
Judy,
yeah.
What you mean, our generation? There may be some really young people on this call.
Now that's true, but remember our students and our teachers are 30 and up, so
that's right. Let's go with the statistics. Move right along.
Right. See, statistically, we are identified or classified as technology immigrants. We were here when the technology was created, so we watched it grow. That's like my granddaughter, she only knows a smartphone. I knew when phones weren't even carried, then there was a brick phone, then there was the phones that only call people, you know. We have a generation that is aware of technology where you can lay in bed and they can determine your weight. When I grew up, you had to get out of the bed and stand on the scale. So
well, I can remember days of slide rule, and when I was in elementary, there was an abacus somewhere. So what can I say? All right, moving right along. I'm sorry, we digressed.
But with the technology gap, when they pick it up, they really have it and they love it. And I think we have to really work with them and help them with that, you know. And we have to be efficient with lessons and activities. And I say that because sometimes we might get happy and have what I call overdo an assignment, too much reading, too many activities, over-teach it. But remember, they're busy. So we want them to learn, and we want to provide it or package that learning lesson in a package, I guess I could say, where they can get it, grasp it, and move on. And we have to be creative to do that. We have to kind of know our population, see when they hit a bump or recognize a bump and be able to do something with it, you know, go around it, knock it down. But we have to recognize that it's there and deal with it. And, of course, emphasize the personal growth. All right.
Okay, what do you, yeah, excuse me. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What do you do to support, what do you personally, those in attendance, do to support adult learning? We'd like for you guys to do some sharing with us now to let us know.
And please, everybody, we want to hear from everybody.
And if you don't feel comfortable raising your hand and going off mute, you can type in the question box as well. I do see that one hand popped up. Karen Wiggins, I'm going to unmute you. All right, Karen, you are good to go.
Actually, this is Deborah Chester, who's acting like Karen Wiggins.
Oh, my word. Please don't do that. Oh, my goodness.
One thing
Sorry
that,
about that. I'm sorry. Thinking personal.
I'll try not to, Lucy. One thing that I feel like we have to do to support adult learning is that we have to think, kind of put ourselves in the place of our students, because as you have said, we're all adults too, and we know that life and situations happen. So I think we have to be understanding, and as Sam said, we have to be extremely flexible, and we have to be supportive in what we say to our students. We have to always be positive, because I believe that that is really key. I know that just, one little phrase can just turn you off from a lot of different things. So I feel like those things are probably more than the content, the most important thing that we do to support our adult learners.
And Deborah, one of the things that I firmly believe is that everyone needs to feel like someone truly, truly cares about them. That doesn't have to. For example, you expect your parents to care about you. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But, on the whole, that's the environment you're in. But when you get in other environments, especially in a university setting, you're not so sure if the instructors care or if they don't care.
Right.
Or they're just doing a certain job, staying within policies and all that. And in the things that you write, in your announcements, in your communications that you have one-on-one or with a whole group, there needs to be at least one sentence in everything you write that sends out the message, I care about you, I care about what happens to you, your grade is important to me, your success is important to me. There needs to be something there that sends that message, because that may be the only message of I care about you that they hear or have heard in a long time.
I completely agree that, that feeling of not just being a number or being just a space in a grade book is important. And being positive goes so much further with students, especially adult learners. Thanks.
Definitely. Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, actually, we have a lot of people contributing
Yay!
today.
Yay.
So we have a couple more hand raises, but we also have, about 6 or 7 comments that have come in the chat box. So I'll read a couple comments, and then I'll unmute another person. So let's see. We'll go with Marilyn Robb. She typed in, my major activity is probably being in constant contact with the student and letting them know that I'm available most of the time for talking on the phone, etc.
Yes. There's something special about them hearing you say something to them, because our words can often indicate one thing, but our voice can either clear it up or make it significantly worse than it was before. But, that's definite. But especially, I know in students that were experienced, if they say it in the student lounge or the student cafe, if they wrote something in there about being overwhelmed or something like that, those are the ones I would call myself. When I'd ask them, is it okay if I call you, send me a number? And when I would call them, I wanted them to hear the calm in my own voice and the fact that I could come across with that caring attitude that calm them. And Marilyn, that's what you're saying, is that that's what you're doing. You're letting them to really touch you, because they don't expect those phone calls from online instructors. And that means the world to them. So thank you for that input.
All right, I'll read another one, and then, like I said, I'll unmute someone else as well. So we have Kevin says, we're an Access College, so we have a strong student services team focused on accommodating learners who need support. So I think he's saying that, we should utilize the resources that we have, the Center for Student Success resources, and direct students there so that they can get the specific help that they need.
Definitely, definitely. And I'm most, well, I don't know, most of the instructors that I know, most of the coordinators and program directors that I am involved with, they do this all the time. And if we see someone having a problem, we may personally reach out to them. We're not trying to bypass advising or any other group. What we're trying to do is be an additional voice to the university in that manner. And so if you're hearing that support from these different groups, and you're also hearing it from your instructor, that is extremely powerful, extremely powerful. And those are the type of things that will get students to stay.
Because it makes them feel like they're cared about. It's a concern. And that's what we really always want to focus on, showing our concern for the students and understanding of the problems or challenges that they might, have.
Yeah, I would, Judy, I would, every time if I would call someone, I would also send advising a note saying that I had had this extra contact with this student. And they might want to reach out also, or at least be aware that that took place. And those things are important. We can't just see it as us doing things. We have to see it as the university unit doing things, and to bring this in. So we're not in isolation of each other. And a lot of times there's a lack of that communication between things, different departments and different support services. But there doesn't have to be. And the only way
we ought to work together.
Oh yeah, we've got to work together. So Kevin, thanks for that.
All right, I'm going to unmute, and I'm sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly, Kobina. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Are you there, Kobina? Kobina, I've got you unmuted, so yep, so we should be able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Hey, Kobina.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Apart from pointing out their strengths and weaknesses, we must always make it a point to show them where they can go for help, the resources they need in order to improve upon their work. Sometimes, yeah, for instance, if you are reviewing their thesis, you show them the exact page of the APA 6th edition manual. See page this, session this. In that way, they can on their own learn. And that's where I was pleased to see on one of the slides that their motivation is internal. If we give them the resources they need to learn, they will do that on their own. And so that's a little something I would like to contribute.
Sure, and look, I love the fact that you said that you gave them the page number even, because, I know we want them to learn on their own, but if we could provide them with just little tidbits like that when they're asking a specific question, then we're showing them that we're willing to help them get that far. Now you get the rest of the way.
And you know what? That reminds me of that saying, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll be able to eat forever. Show them how to get to it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good,
Very
good. Yeah.
And thank you for your participation in the Google Doc. I saw your name on there a good bit.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
All right, you're back on mute, Claudina. Let's see, I think you guys only have one more slide, so we have time to continue going through some of these comments.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay?
Definitely, yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so I'll read some more that were typed in. Let's see. I'll read Llewellyn. I remember that I was in this place once before, and that they are adults and that they should be treated as such. The previous slide really hit the nail on the head.
Great. And I think the more we think about this, we were in that spot one other time.
Right.
Every one of us have walked down that road before. And we've had professors that have treated us like we were very special, precious vessels to fill with learning. And they expected great things of us, and they would be so proud of us and what we're doing now. And then we've had others that pretty well told us to drop dead, that they didn't think that we could make it.
Right.
I had a professor one time walk in, and this was a doctoral class, and there was 40-something people in it. And it was one of those F2 classes. And he said in 2 weeks, 3/4 of you won't be here. And he was right, because he made it a horrible place to be. And I finally had to tell him, I'm not dropping out, so don't be, focus your attention somewhere else.
Right, right.
And we've all had these horrible experiences somewhere. And we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that person.
We want to be the encouraging person, and that's what I mean between the glasses half full and half empty. I have been in teacher lounges where the teachers say, "Ooh, watch these questions. I bet I'll get so many to get these wrong." You know, you have to really think about what your goal is, and our goal is to help, encourage, support, and help these people reach their goals. You know, we are coaches. We are facilitators. You know, we want to get them from point A to point B.
Yeah, and we all know some people, maybe even within our university. I personally don't, but there may be some out there that take great pride in how many times they can make students cry, how many times they can try to get people to drop out. Well, good grief. How are we going to build our numbers if we're doing that type of behavior? How are we going to grow if we put out a reputation that that is the type of mentality that is shown here? What we've got to do is be just the opposite. And the things that all of you are saying and writing in on your questions indicate that the people that are in this session are all of pretty much one mind. So it's sort of like preaching to the choir, isn't it? And that's what they used to say back in the day.
It is.
And,
yeah.
Because all of you obviously have this act together, and I'm so proud to, I'm hearing all this, and I'm just so proud that I am a part of what you're a part of.
Me too. And to hear the comments it's wonderful.
Did we have another one, or do you want us to go to the next slide?
I think we could do a couple more and then go.
Okay, because the next question is very close. You can keep those and throw them in.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit this next one. And this one's dealing with strategy. So while that's kind of moving around in your mind, let's go ahead and finish these other questions.
Okay, so I will read We had a couple comments from Sam, and I'll read both of those. He says, I ask many deep probing questions, and I try to help my students recognize how events in their lives connect with what we are learning about.
You know, Sam is someone I know and I work with. He's one of my instructors in the programs I'm over. And Sam does about the best job of that I've ever seen, of asking those probing questions and coming back with responses that not only calls for a deeper critical thinking of the topic, but also there's this feeling of caring and concern that is just remarkable, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm not sure that that's a learned thing or if that's something that is just special with him, but he is excellent with it.
See, Lucy, when you say that, you raise the question, is teaching an art or a learned skill, which is true. Now, Sam, when you do that with that critical thinking, and when you probe, statistics or studies really show that when you attach knowledge like that, you bring it into a deeper level, so students retain it much longer. It becomes, like a part of them. Where I don't know about you all, but there have been times I've gone in, taken the test, remembered everything, passed the test, walked out the door, and if you asked me a week later, I couldn't tell you what it was, because the probing questions wasn't there and that knowledge wasn't attached to something in my brain to make me want to hold on to it. But that's beautiful.
What's the next one?
All right, let's unmute another person. Arlene, I see that you have your hand up. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Are you there?
Judy, Arlene's one of your people, isn't she?
That's what I said. Yeah, she's.
Okay, I thought that I recognized her.
To me, yeah, right, yeah. It might take her a moment to connect. But she does a wonderful job.
She's one of our people now, isn't she?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It's one of ours. See, that's why I recognize the name. I've been trying to read the list.
Yep. I see Arlene. I see Ralph, Christy, and of course our Judy and Deborah and Karen and Sam. Arlene, were you able to come through?
Tell Arlene to write it.
Yes.
Yeah, you can write it in. We'll go ahead and unmute someone else here. We've got a couple of their hands raised. How about Judith Orth? I'll go ahead and unmute you. Are you there, Judith?
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
One of the things, I didn't know if someone addressed this or not, but I know one of the things when working with adult learners is we have to make sure we're available when they're available, which means evenings and weekends, because that's when they're usually working on assignments or have questions. And our schedule can't be a 9 to 5. It has to be when our students are available. So to answer phones, to answer emails, to make phone calls so that we can help clarify any questions that they have, or help them with assignments or offer resources, etc. But just wanted to throw that in about the time.
And that's important.
Yeah, because the weekend is when many of them have the time from work and all to really work on their application papers, reflection papers, and dissertation work and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's extremely important.
You're right. That's, again, knowing who we teach and being available for that population that we serve. I get a lot of Sunday calls.
Yes, and I think of Monique Lynch had this thing in something that we were seeing where she had a map of the United States and other countries involved, and she had marked where the students were. So it was, you know, to have a visual to keep up with, and it really made a difference, makes a difference.
Yes. And the different time zones and everything, yeah.
Sure.
All right, and it looks like Arlene was able to type in her comment, so I'll share that with you all. She said, if my students indicate that they are having problems with an assignment, I will send them a copy of successful sample application. My students are very grateful for these samples.
Excellent, excellent.
Right. That's real good.
So many instructors I've heard say they didn't want to send examples because then they would get something back from the student that was almost identical to the example. Well, no, that's not usually how it works. Yes, sometimes it does, but that's all depends on the message that you send with the sample.
That's
letting
true.
them know that that's not what your expectations are, that you expect them to use that strictly as a model by which to go by, but not something to copy directly.
Right. And because they come from so many different school districts, states, and countries, sometimes they need a model to look at. I always laugh. My daughter can say something is mailed, a package, something we have to put together. She can read the directions and just put it together with the directions. I need that visual. I need that picture, that sample, you know, and when I can see how it's supposed to look, only then can I read the directions and truly interpret them. So it depends on learning styles. And, you know, I always tell people we have to address the variety of learning styles of the students that we teach.
Okay, and there was one other hand up, but I'm unable to unmute you, and that's Ralph. So I sent you your audio pin. You actually have to input your audio pin, and then I'm able to unmute you. And if for whatever reason you're unable to do that, just go ahead and type in your comment in the question box. But I can read some more of those. We do have some more comments coming in here. Let's see, some more comments from Kevin, actually. So Kevin said, we start with asking what the learner wants out of his or her program, an exploratory interview. And he goes on to say that some learners are there to start a career, others to restart a career, others to adjust to a life trauma, others to advance college diplomas they already hold, others just to explore. So we need to know why learners are enrolled and what their aims are.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. I like the idea of exploratory questions. I mean, you have to be careful how they're worded and all, so that you're not violating any type of privacy or anything. But as long as they're volunteering the information, you're fine. But it's all in the wording of the question. And Ralph, I'm sure that was that Ralph or Kevin?
Kevin. Ralph is calling in.
Yeah, Kevin, it's all in how you word it, but I can tell by the way you ask things now and what you've said earlier that you're putting a lot of thought behind that. So I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, and we do have a few more comments I think we have time for, so I'll read those. And Kevin says thanks. Let's see, so Lisa, she says, when students miss the point of an assignment, I often let them redo it. And this was actually typed in when we were back on the previous slide. And let's see, we have another one from, I think this is Karen, maybe it's Deborah, I'm not sure, but it says, there will be challenges in learning and it's okay to make mistakes.
Definitely.
That's very true. Yes.
And that's what you're talking about.
Mistakes.
Yeah, you're talking about creating a risk-free environment where it's okay to make some errors. It's okay to have some issues along the way. The world has not come to an abrupt end. On a scale of 1 to 10, not on the scale. So what you have to deal with is creating that environment that's relaxed enough that people aren't afraid to challenge, even if they are going a little bit down the wrong path. But then it's our job to get them back on track, because as facilitators of learning, that's our main job, is to keep them on task and going down a straight path to get to where they are mastering these objectives.
That is so true.
Well, thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. I do.
All right, I'll read the last comment that we have typed in. This is from Clavina. Make every student responsible for or lead part of the discussion.
Sure. That's good. That's good. I may need to sign Clavina and Kevin up to teach for me. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
That program director better be watching out. I'm about to do some sneaking in there.
And Ralph, I saw that your hand went back up again, but I'm still unable to unmute you. So I'll send you that audio pin again. It should just be a little message that you'll get from GoTo. And if you enter that in on your phone, it looks like you're dialed in on your phone, then I should be able to unmute you. And again, if that doesn't work, just type in your comment. Otherwise, that's all the questions and hand raises we have at the moment.
We are so thankful that all of you attended. And Ralph, if you can't get that, then send Judy or myself a question, and we'll be glad to help you with it. If it's a question or just a statement.
It looks like I'm unable to unmute him. So I see we only have a couple minutes, but we can unmute him and take his comment real quick.
Oh, okay. Yes, I guess I'm unmuted now. All right.
Hey, Ralph.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say that we have to bring enthusiasm into the discussion to keep them interested, and to motivate them, and it motivates them to do well on their work also, and perform better on papers. But to bring in the enthusiasm, I would recommend getting somebody's remark that they have made that may be buried deep in one of their discussion posts, and you bring that remark out and say, for example, Lena says such and such, and here's what, I would like to add, taking this further, I would like to say this, or I would like to offer this. Any comments? And then try to get other people in around Lena's remark. This way it brings them in to the discussion. Also, bring in theories from other disciplines. For example, motivation from organizational behavior motivation is very intricately interwoven with education. So one thing is that motivation says is that people always are motivated by getting respect from other people throughout their whole lives, although other factors that motivate them may change. So what this helps bring in respect, pointing out what someone else has wanted, and making them the focus of the discussion for a while. These kind of things help quite a bit. So I just thought I would mention, bring in someone else's, focus on someone else's posting, bring in materials from outside the course or outside of education that are new to them, and bring in your own experiences and try to draw other people's experiences around the person and around their particular remark that you feel you can really expand on. That's all I was interested in saying.
Well, Ralph, that is wonderful. That's fantastic, sure. You know, when I was looking at the list of the new people that will be joining me on Monday, I had a Ralph. And I'm just wondering if you're...
Ralph.
Is this the Ralph?
This is the Ralph.
Ralph?
Hello?
You know, I was going to recruit you to work up for us, but you're already working for us, so thank you.
Okay. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
Ralph,
and
what you helps grow a student, so that's really good.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much for your participation, everyone. I have to say that I think out of all the webinars that I've helped facilitate, this is probably the one that has had the most participation from the attendees. So that's really great to see. And I know we're at the end of our time, so I just want to say a quick word, and then I'll let Judy and Lucy say a quick mention as well, and then we'll sign off. But just to let you all know, I will be sending a follow-up email to you, and it'll contain a link for the PowerPoint that we used today. It will also contain a link to the recording, because I did record today's session. And with that, go ahead and pass things over to Judy if you want to say any final words.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, for participating, and for the belief. Lucy, I know we're quick. Lucy?
Oh, I am thrilled that we had this time together. And if you have any faculty that you know of that would like to attend, we're repeating this next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We'd love to have you back, too, if you'd like to come.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and bye-bye, everybody.